Once again, we're in the Randy's Worldwide booth, SEMA 2020. Joining me right now is Tony Pellegrino, named synonymous with Jeeps and racing Jeeps and racing cars and all kinds of stuff. Tony, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing great. It's good to be here.
Yeah, it's good to be
back in Vegas.
Back in Vegas during the SEMA show. So let's start right away. You know, you're kind of known as the Jeep guy at Genright Offroad. So let's talk a little bit. What's new at Genright Offroad?
We got a couple of things. For the JL, we've got a brand new complete frame that we're calling the EXS, and that's got our coilover suspension, double triangulated, super badass. It's a derivative from my Terramoto that's had our Elite suspension on it for a while. The JL, the new frame is thinner, so we just decided to offer a whole new frame, and that way the guy can convert it over in a quicker period of time. In addition to that, we just finished and are installing our TJ to LJ kit, which is not only the frame section, but the whole rear cargo area, all aluminum, raised inner fenders, just really beautiful piece that is affordable. So a guy that, you know, feels like he's got a built TJ, but it's a little outdated because it's short, now he can update it and keep it.
Yeah, because you can't find LJs, and if you can, they've gone bonkers on price. So
yeah.
I think, and that's, you know, I've done the TJ to LJ conversion. It's a world of difference when you get it in the rock, for sure. It's the perfect wheelbase.
It is.
Yeah,
it is.
It turns out great.
Yeah.
So now you've done that for a couple models. This whole frame, complete frame. What was the idea behind that? Was it just because the JK frames were thin, or like what started that whole idea of just let's replace the whole frame?
Part of it is that, you know, good frames are hard to get, right? So it's not like you can call the dealer and go, well, I'll just buy a new frame because mine's all rusty or maybe I damaged it. Because a lot of people, they don't think about going to our level of suspension until they've already had a couple of kits on there. So now they've been cutting and welding and everything's not quite, you know, the way it used to be. So, you know, going with a new frame, and by the way, you know, stock is 1/8 inch thick, we're going 3/16. So it's only 200 more pounds, but the frame's the backbone of the whole thing. So if you're gonna put 200 pounds somewhere, that's the spot.
That's the place to put it.
You know.
100%. I also think it's a great idea because the reality is if you're modifying a JK or now JLs, which guys are doing, to me, like 9 times out of 10, step one is remove the body. It's so easy to pull the body off a JK. It was always easy to pull the body off a TJ, but not a lot of people did it. But the JK is literally, it's like 30 minutes and the body's off.
Yeah.
And if you were going to plan a motor swap and suspension, all that kind of stuff, it just, the way I look at it is also the guy could be like, all right, well, I'm going to buy the frame and I'll get the suspension, I'll get the motor, and then that whole rolling chassis is there, and then it's just
drop it in.
Yeah. And you'll recoup money off that factory frame.
Sure.
All day long.
If it's in good shape, you can sell it no problem.
Yeah.
So we do it where you can leave the factory style motor mounts, you know, if you're gonna put the V6 back in, or if you wanna do an LS, we've already got that conversion. So it just comes to you done, it's powder coated, you get 3.0 coilovers, IBPs, you know, like it's bad.
It's smart. Smart way to do it. All right, so that's Genright Offroad. Let's talk a little bit about racing. Back to King of the Hammers this year. What's the plan? I know, and is it this? Are you bringing back the unicorn car again, or what's happening?
So that car was completely cut apart, redesigned. Jordan and an engineer named Sam have completely redesigned it. It's being put back together. A tremendous amount of work and welding and expense, of course. So it's just about back together for testing now and shock tuning, and he'll be ready for race day. So it's definitely, the car was built a little thin and light to begin with. So after last year's qualifying run, which he sat at the top of the pole for a long time, but it damaged the car. It damaged a lot of people's cars. And so now they beefed it up so he doesn't have to lift on the jumps.
I kind of like that though, because it's kind of gotten back to like a legit hardcore rock race, where before, you know, it was kind of like, there was a lot of driving around the hard stuff. And now that you're back in the canyon, you don't have a choice. There's some trails, a lot of trails like Chocolate, you can be like, I'm gonna sneak out over here. But you get in Sledge or King's Graveyard,
one of those canyons,
there's no bypass. There's the race, and it's in the rocks. And I kind of like that. I think it's cool.
It's cool.
What about you? I know you've been out of racing for a while. Are you done? You gonna sneak back in? Or?
I'd like to sneak back in. What I got to do is I have to be careful that what I'm doing really applies to our company, our customers, right? Jeeps.
Yeah.
So 2 years ago in 2020, I raced my built JK. That was great. But now I'm going to try and get Dave Cole to introduce a brand new class called the Superstock class.
Okay.
So it'll be for full frame bumper to bumper. You can put in provisions to have a coilover, but it's run 40-inch tires or 42s, whatever you want, and go race.
So like a street car, like that.
Yes, street legal, right? Got to have blinkers, horn, turn signals, right? The windshield, whole deal. Yeah.
Until someone reads the rule book and goes, "That's how I can break that rule."
So the good news is I'm the tech.
There we go. All right, that's what's new at Genright Offroad SEMA 2021 here with Tony Pellegrino. Tony, thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, of course. It's great to see you.
Always good seeing you. Have a good rest of the